Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Rave Dad back here with you. I apologize for the delay in getting this video done. Had a bunch of things going on. I know last time I said I was going to do a video on those inflatable couches. I still want to do that. The weather down here in Florida has just been totally uncooperative. I will get that done as soon as I can. Just need to be able to get outside to actually film it. The little bit of time that I've had to actually go do it, it has rained like crazy or been like 9,000 degrees. So as soon as I can, I will get that to you. What I did want to talk about today, though, is what happens when someone is acting completely out of pocket at a show, right? At a rave, at a festival, at a concert, at an event. If you are that person and you trend on Twitter because there's a video of you being stupid, that is your fault. That is 100% your fault, right? You do not want to be that person, right? That is a life-changing, life-ruining event, especially if your video goes viral, right? You don't want to be that person. So what can you do to prevent it, right? Now, if you're in a situation where someone around you is doing that, right, as I talked about in other videos before, just kind of be aware of your surroundings. Just leave. Get out of the way. Move in the crowd, go somewhere else. If you miss 5 or 10 minutes of a set because you moved versus ruining your whole entire time there, right, or your whole weekend, or potentially getting bracelets or something from cops, right, like that is the wrong type of candy to be trading. You don't want that. So it's cool if you just move out the way, right? Let people do stupid stuff on their own. You do not want to join people in doing stupid stuff, right? Now, I understand. A lot of times what we're talking about with this is someone who's had too much drugs, too much alcohol. I get it, right? And I'm going to talk on that in more detail later in the video. First things though, let's get kind of like a general idea of what it is we want to discuss, right? What we're talking about is someone who is killing the vibe for everybody else, right? And usually what that means is they're being loud, they're being belligerent, they're getting rude with people, right? Or again, that they're just so spun that they have no idea what planet they're on, right? So, like I said, be aware of your surroundings. If you don't like the vibe, dip. Or one of the things is, hey, if it's a friend of yours that is being that person, right, grab them and get them out, right? Like, you understand someone's got to be responsible. As Rave Dad, right, if you've got someone who's completely gone and they need to get out, it's on you to get them out, right? Like, that's the responsibility you take on, right? But generally, your entire group should be looking out for each other. And usually what happens is this: if you're the person that is so messed up that you've got to be removed from a situation, most likely is you're going to be going solo to shows from then on, right? Like, that group is not going to keep you in there if you are the constant cause of drama, right? The other bit too, right? Not only are you ruining it for your friends and the people that you went with, you are now ruining it for the people around you, right? Which generally means they're in a bad mood, which means they're going to interact with people in a bad mood who's going to make other people in a bad mood. And it dominoes and dominoes and dominoes. And it completely changes the energy of the whole entire event, which is a lot of times what you went there for in the first place, right? Like, to have good vibes around you all the time, right? So let's talk about things that ruin those vibes, right? The first one that I know people bitch about the most are the trains getting up to the front of a crowd during a set. A lot of times people waited through an entire other set from someone that they weren't as excited about in order to get to the front, right? They've slowly worked their way up there. And then you got a train of 30 people bulldozing their way through the front to try to get in there because they showed up late, or somebody was in the bathroom, or the vendor took forever, or whatever. If you show up late and the crowd is thick in front of you and you can't move up there without bumping into somebody or stepping through somebody's setup or whatever, don't be that person, right? Most likely, if you make physical contact with someone, that is already the number one way to piss somebody off, right? Like, you don't want to be that person. The other thing is, you are now ruining the vibe and the energy of the crowd by doing that, right? All the people around you, when you train your way to the front, are now more focused on you than what's going on stage, which then means the energy is not cool, so that the performer then is not going to give the energy back to you, right? Like, you are now messing up potentially the entire set, more so for anyone else other than you, right? It's a real selfish thing to do. Please don't do it, right? Like, just don't do it, right? Okay, next thing. People who get rude with staff or volunteers or other people around you, right? Again, I talked about it. If you see somebody doing it and you don't want to be a part of it, you don't want to see it, or you feel like you're going to comment or do something, just go. Just get out of the way, right? Like, don't put yourself in a situation to ruin your day because someone else is doing something stupid, right? Generally, most of the people working these events are volunteers, right? They don't have the training that most first responders do to react to someone being really stupid, right? They have some general training. They know what they're supposed to do, right, for some things, but they're not going to be able to react the way a cop or an EMT would, right? They're not going to be able to do that. And they're just there to help you, right? Like, why would you go ruin the event for someone because you've had too much to drink and you feel like you know somebody, or I know somebody in the band or the promoter or whatever, so you got to raise your mouth, voice to make a point? It's not worth it, man. Don't do it. It's just wasting time. It's ruining it for other people. Don't want to be that person, right? So the other thing we wanted to talk about, drugs, right? A lot of times when someone is acting completely stupid at a rave or a festival, it's because they are spun to the point where they don't know what planet they're on, right? I personally reached out to some folks I know who are kind of the older crew, like my counterparts in terms of an age bracket, for their advice on how you can handle these kind of things, right? And I'll give you my personal opinion as well, but I want to give you their feedback, right? First thing, a rave is not the first place you want to try a new drug, right? If you've never done Molly before or ketamine before or whatever it is that you're going to be on, don't go experimenting at that kind of place, right? That is not the time to do that. You want to make sure you know whatever it is and how you're going to react to it so that you put yourself in a situation where you can at least enjoy it to some extent, right? If you're going to not know how you're going to react to something, why would you take it and then put yourself in a situation that is going to be the most possible stimulus to trigger a bad reaction, right? Not the time, right? Also, always test whatever it is that you're taking. I can't stress that enough, right? If you don't know where it came from, test it. Make sure it is whatever it is that you think it is, right? Like, that should be obvious. Not enough people are doing that, right? But make sure, please, 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 always test, right? Now, the other piece of advice I want to give you is this, right? You can always take more. That's fine. You can take more. I'm not really feeling this. I don't have the effect I want. Cool, take more. That's fine. You can't take less, right? If you go completely ham right from Jump Street and you are skyrocketing out and you're not coming down anytime soon and you're in a place where you're now like completely non-coherent, guess what? You did too much, right? You can always take more. You cannot take less, right? That is one of the things that happens. Now, one of the things I also want to talk about is this, right? Alcohol is another component in this. That was primarily drugs, but alcohol is the other piece, right? If you are drinking, obviously make sure you're keeping yourself hydrated, but know your limits, right? Like, people know their own limits for the most part. At least I hope you do, right? And if you don't, have a candid conversation with the people around you and be like, hey, if I drink or if I do this or I do that, am I okay? Do I act like a fool? Whatever. And just get honest feedback, right? Like, understand what your own limits are. I promise you, if you are topping your limits out all the time to the point where now other people have to take time out of their day or ruin whatever experience that there is to take care of your ass because you can't take care of yourself, guess what? They will let you know if you ask them. They might be too nice to tell you right up in front of you and call you out on it, openly. But if you ask them and you solicit that advice, they'll give it to you, right? So keep in mind, you don't want to be the person that trends on Twitter or on Insta or whatever because you did something stupid, right? So ways to avoid it. One, if you see something that's not cool or you don't have a good vibe, get out of the way. Obviously, if you see something that you need security or staff or whatever, go get them, do that, right? But if you're just not feeling the vibe or not feeling, the people around you or they're ruining it for you, move. That's cool. Do it, right? Know what you're taking. If you are ingesting something, know what it is. That's the other thing, right? Like, make sure we know what it is that we're taking. Obviously, health, nutrition, etc. is an important piece of this. But if you are going to put something in your system, know what it is first and know how you're going to react to it, first experiences are never a good time in a place where you are completely overwhelmed, because then guess what? Someone's got to pull you out. So now you've not ruined it just for yourself, you've ruined it for somebody else, right? Don't be that person, right? The other thing is, be polite to the people working the show or the other people in attendance, right? Generally, we're all there to have a good time, enjoy it, have fun, be nice to them. If you are nice to them, they will generally be nice to you, and everybody's going to have a much better time. So that's the ways to avoid. Like I said, real quick, wanted to get it out to you brief. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me on all the socials. It is I am Rave Dad. I generally respond to things pretty quick if I can. Feel free to ask me whatever you need. Again, though, always, if you feel like there's something that we need to talk about or you got a suggestion for the next video, put it in the comments or shoot it to me in a DM or tag me in it or whatever it is. Hey, what are your thoughts on this? I'm happy to respond to stuff. All right, guys, I promise inflatable couch video coming as soon as I can get to it. Weather has just been brutal. I am not trying to melt and or get poured on. I might do it if it's super hot just to kind of show you how ridiculous it can be, or if it's raining, because that would be funny, but I do not want to put myself out there if I can avoid it. So, all right, love you guys. Take care. Be safe.